Hi everybody. Thanks for taking the test. I should have it graded by Monday. Your study guides have already been graded and the grades are posted in Canvas. This last unit is all about using the factoring that you practiced last week and using it to actually solve problems and look at solving different types of equations. So the first thing that you're going to do is to learn how to solve quadratic equations using factoring. And this relies on this property called the zero product property that essentially says that if you have two numbers that multiply together to be equal to zero, one of them has to be zero. And you can take a second and think about how you could multiply two numbers together and get zero. And I think pretty quickly you can convince yourself that the only way to do it is to have one of the numbers be equal to zero. In this unit, we're going to look at how we might use that property to help. For example, if we were looking at this product of x minus 3 times x plus 2, and the thing that you need to remember is that x minus 3 is just a number. It represents a number that we don't know. And x plus 2, same thing, it's a number. So here we have two numbers that multiply together to be equal to 0, which means that either x minus 3 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. Now we have what are relatively simple linear equations to solve, and we can get values for x. Okay, the whole purpose for you to learn how to factor was so that you could look at and there's a lot in here about graphing, but you could look at a polynomial like x squared plus 3x minus 4 and rewrite it in factored form, which means it is now a product, and you can work your way through the solution. Okay, once you are done with quadratic equations and solving them, and you work your way through the homework, the next and the word problems, of course, the next part of the class, the end of the class, is all about rational expressions. And rational expressions look like fractions. And because they look like fractions, they can be scary to look at. The thing to remember is they act like fractions too. And so when you add fractions, you have to have a common denominator. When you add rational expressions, you have to have a common denominator. When you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. You're going to do the same thing with rational expressions. All right, so the new groups for Unit 4 can be found here in the Unit 4 Week 1 overview, and I will email them out to everybody. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Send me an email. I'm happy to answer them. All right.